Hey, Tara.
Excel Winile.
What was it?
Great.
Right, Aja.
Great, bro. What's up? Do you wanna add anything else from yesterday's talk about race that you want before we get into the whole what do you
Culture
call
thing.
it? Yeah.
Nah, from yesterday, not too sure what I wanted to add. It's just, I was thinking it over, and then one thing that I was thinking was the Euros situation that just happened,
Hmm.
and and how I viewed it. My views of it were, cool. I was actually when it happened, everyone anticipated when the Black Boys missed. We all knew what was gonna happen, right? But we were all like me. I was glad that's when we see racism, like in things like that, and how we move on. That people go and then protect those people. It's like we've come a long way already. Like how I was viewing is just like we know that there is racism around. It's not always going to be perfect, but we've learned to be able to live with one another and how to get better. And with time and living with one another, we'll understand each other more. And it's not just going to happen in just Thanos snap of the hands. So, so that thing, even though people will tell you how disgusting it was, in a way that gave me some hope, man. I was just like, no, man, I like where we at right now.
Mm.
That's the one thing that I wanted to add, and I was really like thinking about. I was like, yeah, man, racism is still prevalent, and it will never end.
Mm. Okay. Do you think if it was three white guys that missed, it would have been a problem?
No, because they're the majority of the team.
Okay. What if it was? What if it? Oh, perfect. So then, what if it was in a mostly black populated team and three white guys missed? Do you think that would have been racially abused
In South Africa,
or
or
any?
like I don't know.
Maybe like
I'm not too
France, for
sure.
instance. France is a good
Um,
example because
what
they.
happened in France?
No, I'm saying France. The France national team is a good example because they're a
Mhm.
European team, but the majority of their squad
Yeah,
is black players. So, what do you think would have happened there?
if white guys missed.
Yeah, if like Griezmann missed and what? Yeah, two other players, Giroud and someone else, Rabiot.
I don't think it would be like that because when you look at France, the socioeconomics and the people there, they are racist as well in their country. The players will tell you as well, but um, the majority of the fans in that situation wouldn't be bagging on them because they are also white. The
Okay, what if
fans
it
of
was?
French players.
What if it was an African team consisting of mostly black players and then three white guys missed
Uh,
penalties?
Probably would. In
Yeah,
that
eh?
situation. And if then you'll be like, fuck these white people, man. Inkomo, zinkomo, yes, Shamas. It was even an ad. Gary, yeah,
Yeah,
inkomo, ndlala naye.
mm, yeah,
So
eh?
yeah, man.
It goes both ways, bro. That's the one thing to note as well. Again, it's like exactly what you're saying is that the racism goes either way, just like with anything else. If what's good for the goose has to be good for the gander, otherwise those terms don't make sense. Because the terms that we use, such as racism and things like that, they're independent. They're not connected to anything. So you use them as a reference point to something else. So you can't then say you can only use racism when you're going that way, but not the other way. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's like you can't just be sexist only if it goes the one way, but not sexist when it goes the other way. Because that word in itself is independent of wherever it's coming
Yeah,
from. Yeah.
fully, fully.
Yeah, that goes into a deeper conversation about like toxic femininity and fragile, I mean, toxic masculinity and fragile masculinity. It's like it's always this way. It's always male towards female. It's like, okay, well, how about did they teach you the opposite? It's like, well, what does that mean? It doesn't make sense at all. What is a toxic
No,
female?
they'll tell you it's about power then.
Yeah.
It's, you don't have an infrastructure, a system. You abolish an actual apartheid system that was built. You
Mm.
abolish it, you give policies out, and then they'll still come say there's still a system. Well, what system is there now? The
Yeah.
system is BEE. It's to try help black people, but you're still gonna have it. It's just it's back to the victim mentality, and I don't want to say you're indoctrinated. It's just yeah, it is, and that's exactly it.
Yeah, so since then we're kind of then put that conversation aside. Let's go into quotas. What do you think? What's your viewpoint on that? What's your viewpoint on quotas? And obviously speaking generally, we can speak it in generally or only in South Africa, but quotas in general in any sense. So it could be female, it could be gender quotas, it could be racial quotas.
I understand representation, right?
Mhm.
I really understand and the need of representation, and in order for the economy to grow and those things to blossom and stuff, I really do. But I think we need to do it a bit differently.
Okay.
There needs to the just saying that you need to have this amount of people into a quota system, and no matter what the situation is, it's gonna work out badly for everybody involved, man.
Mm.
Like no one, I don't think anyone is gonna be fully happy in those things because, like I said yesterday, the one side's gonna be like, I'm gonna show you that fuck you. You just want a black person. We trying to do a merit based, so we'll pick whatever black person and just put them in order for them to fail, and
Mhm.
then you'll still have the previously disadvantaged. On the other hand, you have previously disadvantaged people, and you want to boost them up, but
Mm.
that should be merit based.
Mhm.
But you have people that are gatekeeping it. That happens still.
Mhm.
Um, and therefore, you need to be able to go into those. How I feel is that you need to be able to go into those situations where you find those situations, and you're like, okay, we need actually black people in here.
Mhm.
Like, how do you measure it? And we work on the merit based. If there are black people that can be pushed up,
But that's
then
so
you
that
do it. But
so
then,
that's the
yeah,
question. And so this is where I kind of don't really understand what the process, what the reasoning is, right? So why is representation so important? And who are these people? So representation is very important, right? But for what reason? Like morally it feels as though it sounds right, right?
for the economy, and like in South Africa especially,
Okay.
if you look at the amount of people, white people are roughly 15% that acquire most of the wealth.
Uh-huh.
So, so you need representation. There are people that have those skills that are black, but
Okay.
also sometimes those people don't have opportunities. They are hampered by things like now COVID.
Uh-huh.
They don't have, you can't have schooling. Like, yeah, we've had so many people drop out because you can't do online schooling now anymore. So you
Uh-huh.
drop out and things like that. So
Uh-huh.
we need those people to be lifted up. You know, we
Okay.
need a balance.
Okay, because of race.
No, not pure, no, because of not because of race, but because of previously disadvantaged, and now you are at the bottom because of that,
Yeah, but then
and you are disadvantaged because of race. So now we go back to race.
okay. So so basically then it's almost like it's trying to counteract a system or it's trying to counteract injustices of the past basically,
Mm.
right? And then by doing that you then having a system that's also inherently racist in its idea because then it looks at
Needs to be
something.
justified. It's
Yeah,
justified,
well,
right? In that sense.
yeah, because then it looks at again color so that then you can represent whoever whatever color that you're trying to convey, right? Which is also inherently a racist idea because again, like you're saying, it's like you then are saying
Yeah,
that these people, hey,
I'm saying yes, I'm
Oh,
agreeing.
so,
But like I
yeah.
said earlier, it's justified
Justified how? Because of your physical characteristics
Be-
of only
because of
of
the
only color.
because like I said, because of the past. That because of the past, you were disenfranchised because of your race. Because now we need to empower you because of your race again. Because you were disenfranchised because of your race. Now we're trying to balance up the scales.
Okay, then it goes back to that whole question of until when.
How long? Exactly. That's why I said now it's not a matter of that's why I said now it's not a matter of just picking it because you're black. It's about giving you opportunities, and then from those opportunities we pick on merit based, and you don't limit and put a number that in certain situations you need a certain number of black people. That's how I that's why I don't like quota, and I think it should be done.
Because okay, so because again, it goes to then like for instance, it goes from a racial thing, and then you can say, okay, well, let's have female quotas, right, or gender quotas,
Yeah, they
right, and
are though.
then yeah, that's what I'm saying. So then it's like now again, you're that's again an inherently sexist idea of trying to put someone in a position based on their characteristics. Because then, if you allow that to happen, then you're going to have an age quota where you're going to put people in positions because of a
How
specific
do
quota.
you yeah, wait. How do you get to the age quota? Why would we get that?
Well, it could, I mean, it could, we could choose, say, for instance, something
How
like,
how wait, how are people disenfranchised by their age?
no, but look, so, no, I'm not saying that they're disenfranchised by their age. You don't, look, so I'm saying it could get to
Because
something
I'm
like that.
no the first two examples, right? The first two
Yeah.
examples,
Okay.
I feel that those are justified ratifications that you make.
Based
So
on what?
that's why I don't understand now when you go to a age thing. I find that to be a disingenuous argument because now
Okay.
these two are justified. Then when you go to age, that one's not a justified one
Okay, so why do you say the first two are justified?
because they were disenfranchised. Like
By
I
who?
explained this both times.
Okay, okay. So fine, let's go into something like hey?
Okay, okay, they are differently disenfranchised.
Mm-hmm.
Differently,
Mm-hmm.
race was by actual system. Women, it was by technology. It was it's inherent. It's inherent, and it's still gonna be sexist. We are sexist, and will always be sexist. But what has happened now is that technology has allowed women to be able to be put in spaces, and what has disenfranchised you? Hmm. Now that I think of it, let me think. Actually,
Mm.
it's because it's not a man thing that disenfranchised. For me, I find the world is sexist
Mm-hmm.
inherently, and we play both different roles. So now I need to actually think of this one. Now that you're,
Yeah.
um,
Look, let's
it's
make
more of technological. They are able to. They weren't able before. Now they are able, right? And in order for
hey,
them to be able to catch up, that's what you do. And
so
it's
you
more, yeah. Go.
yeah, no, keep going.
I was
Sorry,
saying,
man.
it's more of trying to stabilize the economy with that. So actually, I was wrong. That one is not they. They weren't disenfranchised. I was actually wrong.
Okay.
No, I was wrong with the first one. The race
Yeah.
one, there was an actual system.
Okay, so the thing is I'm trying to understand the because again it's like I want to get away from a bit of like the race gender thing and try to
Mm.
say, okay, well, look, so we're humans and we're all divided into certain categories. So we different ages, different heights, different things, different races, different genders, different cognition, all things like that, right? And it seems as though then once you can then pick an area whereby you feel as though that this particular group of people was previously disadvantaged, right? You can then make a system that's going to be the opposite of that. right? So for instance,
Yeah.
if you feel as though only like what you said yesterday, only tall in sport, only tall players are picked in basketball because of the sport, for example, you just need better, you need taller players. So therefore, you then shorter people feel as though that they're not represented, right? So
Yeah, but
then you can make a quota. Then shorter people can make a quota and say, well, we want to be represented. And then all of a sudden you take all the short people and you say, look, I want 30% of short people, and that's going to be a height quota. Do you understand?
mm,
And then that's how it then can go from race, then tomorrow it's gender, tomorrow it's height, tomorrow the next day it's age, the next day it's okay, well
but with
look, yeah, but
the
this is
race
what
one,
I'm
I
saying.
really think is a bit different. The race one, I really think is different. But
Because
I hear your point.
yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get at, is the fact that once you kind of say because you make a principle, right? And then you judge, and whatever principle that you make, you then say this is how things are going to work for the future because of the past. So if in the past you felt as though something has happened to you um, that has been oppressing you, you can then change that in the future by saying that you are going to be in a specific area of field because of the previous injustices, right? Then that means that then
Hmm.
because then you can scale anyone differently for anything, people will then just say, okay, well, you know what, if for a job, for example, you were chosen because when you were young, and the older you were, they say, look, bro, like we can't have older people in this job because we can't sign. We only want to sign, say, 10-year contracts, and you won't be there in 10 years. Then those people might feel an injustice, and then have an age quota and say that, listen, actually we need to then be represented because we feel as though we've been unjust, there has been an injustice, right? But
Yeah,
then so then what ends up happening is that then you basically do the opposite of what has happened. So then you go back to that whole idea of, well, I was the victim and now I'm trying to justify it. How are you going to justify it? Well, I'm going to force myself into this into whatever system that I'm in because of what I was a victim of. And now all of a sudden you then become the perpetrator to the next person that's young, for example, if you're going to speak about age. Do you understand?
mm. No, no, I fully hear you. But like I was saying, you make perfect sense, right? But
Mm-hmm.
with the race one, it's a bit different. The other ones, but the race one, I really feel that that one is completely different from slavery to now. Well, not now, but I think that one's really different, man. It
Yeah.
because
Well, we can break it
because
down. We
you're
can try to understand why you would think that it's different, for example.
because even what the reason why you have quotas, it's to help the economy in certain situations, right?
Okay.
Especially in an African country that is dominated um, by those people. You
That's a
want the
racial quota.
majority to succeed,
So you're
eh?
speaking of racial quotas. Because like I said again,
Yeah, I'm
we can have quotas on every level of different
not.
things.
Yes, I say I think the racial one, that one is actually valid. That that
Okay.
that 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 that,
Mm-hmm.
that is valid, especially in an African country.
Mm-hmm.
That it's valid. But when you take it to America, when you ask yourself, where the benefits of this quota, like, well, what are the actual benefits that we're gonna see? Like, if you take it to America, it's not gonna it's gonna boost a certain demographic of people's economy, right? But then you're taking away from other people. But
Yeah. Which is
whereas
yeah.
in South Africa, it's completely different. Where
How
when
so?
you go into a racial one, because we are the majority, and the majority here is in poverty because of the minority that took over. Because South Africa's oppression was the best type of oppression that you've ever seen in this world. How they did it was phenomenal. They actually studied this shit and they
Give
did
me a
it
second.
so well. All right.
Just give me a second. Hello? Hi there. Can I please have an Arabic, yeah, with no eggs. Yeah, so no eggs, more chicken sausage. Yeah, cool, man. 10 o'clock, please. Thanks, brother. Cheers. Sorry, boy. Okay,
All right.
so, yeah, so,
So,
so this is this
like
is what I'm
the
trying to understand, right? Is that, for instance, again, it's like the systems that you put in place, right? They go into every kind of level of the world, right? So it's like what if you're gonna put a quota system on race or on gender or on height, for example, right? You then need to do it in every kind of sphere. So you're not gonna just do it
no,
and
because they weren't the same. No,
so
no.
so what do
No,
you mean?
because when there was racism, it wasn't looked like that. It wasn't put in every sphere. It was just based on one thing, right?
Yes, yeah, well, it's based on the whole thing. So, like, as in, like, in terms of black people aren't allowed for certain things, or they're all oppressed in every kind of way, right? So, when you then put an affirmative action back into the system, you're trying to then benefit black people in every sphere, right?
What
So,
do
like,
you
that's
mean
why
by
in
in
sport,
every?
so, like, that's why in sport, for example, you have a quota on sport, on the players and the management.
It's like for me, like I hear you, right? But it's
Yeah.
more about even with the quota thing.
Uh huh.
It's about opportunity. That's the one thing that I just want I want to get through.
Uh
Like the quotas, it needs to make sense.
huh.
Like I have a problem with quotas, but I understand where they are also important.
Okay, so the
That's
reason
all
why,
I'm trying to say.
okay, so like I said again, so there's many spheres as which you can divide us in, right? And it
Mhm.
seems as though as soon as you have a quota, you're basically saying whatever sphere that you or whatever characteristic that you think that you were oppressed in, whenever you were oppressed in, you can then kind of counteract it and do the opposite to the other people that you thought were oppressing you in the future, right?
Well, it needs to be based on reality and not just feelings. So,
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's say that you, like I said again, um, in basketball, for example, that's like exactly again what I'm saying is that you
yeah,
can. It depends what.
but I hear that example, but it's not practical. That is not practical. Doing that is not practical.
Okay,
But
so
when
how?
you do it with race in South Africa, that's why I said in America, it wouldn't be practical to put in quotas
Okay, okay, so let's,
in the same manner to put it in an African continent.
okay,
It, it,
so
because of how of the population and how the economy is going to grow.
okay,
You
okay, so
understand? Because
mhm,
yeah, no,
okay,
go.
so this is what I'm trying to get at is how this whole thing won't ever come back and bite you in the ass because then it's like okay now because there's racial quotas, because you say that if you feel as though you are racially excluded by something, you can then come back and um, reclaim your status by doing the opposite. If you look at, say, for instance, like Parliament, and perhaps let's say Parliament is predominantly black, right? Then what then prevents white people from making white racial quotas to then put into that system?
I'm not sure I understand.
So
Please
why
try to say that again.
Okay, so again, so if you have a cabinet and they're all predominantly black,
Mhm.
right? And then white people say they want equal representation, right?
Under what reasoning? That's the thing that I don't understand.
Well again, so if you're gonna have black representation, what reason do you have for that?
Bro, I've explained this a couple of
Yeah,
times now.
yeah, yeah. No,
I've
yeah,
really
exactly. Yeah,
a system of oppression that
yeah.
has been there. Like there have
Okay.
been rules, regulations that
Mm-hmm.
literally that disenfranchise, that oppress black people,
So there's been
right?
rules that oppressed black people to not be in like say
That in everything, it was in everything. It wasn't just in that. But
yeah,
now we're trying to filter in bit by bit. That's why
yeah.
I'm not understanding why you're trying to break it down like this.
Okay, so I'm also a bit confused. That's why I'm trying to understand on both sides how what the actual what the okay. What I'm trying to understand how
You,
this yeah.
like how I'm hearing you is I'm saying that the oppression was there. Now you're gonna oppress white people again because it is justified. And now you're saying just because you had justified oppression, now I need to oppress you again. Why? We're trying to rebalance it.
Yeah, but how are you going to rebalance it? By putting in people because of their
I
character?
said this. I said how I want to do, how I think a quota should be done, and it is being done
Oh,
wrong now.
okay.
I've
Okay,
said this.
sorry.
That's why I'm so confused at this moment.
Okay, sorry.
I've tried to explain this. That in that situation, you put it based on merit and not just on color. You try to do the merit thing and understand that it's gonna take way longer.
Okay,
How it's being done and just putting in numbers, I feel is wrong. I've said that.
okay. Yeah. No, I was just trying to understand again when you were going back to say that in racially it makes sense, and then in other things it
Yes,
doesn't make sense.
because it's justified because the system was there. And other things like let's say in this feminism thing,
Uh-huh.
if you look at feminism in itself, it, the thing about how the oppression of women, it wasn't by men. It was physiological. It was more
Okay.
physiological than men oppressing women. So
Mm-hmm.
when we got technology to advance us and help women in order to get into these to be able to be pushed into certain spaces, it's different than the oppression of race. It's different because we weren't saying that women can't do certain things just because you're a woman. It was more based on that you literally can't. You
Mm-hmm.
you mostly women would die after childbirth. It was dangerous. Their periods, like there's so many factors that stop women to being in the workplace and doing certain things. Men are much stronger, but they're unable, and you still see it till this day. And why people still say that there are things like the gender pay gap and things like that. It's because we are different. We are inherent. The world is inherently sexist. So now, when you're trying to say let's equalize that and not make the world sexist, the world is always going to be sexist.
Mm-hmm.
In reality, that's why I say that one is not a real one. But when we look, and you made me realize that as we were talking in this chat,
Mm-hmm.
and I came back to my senses. And when I came back to race, I'm like, no, but that one is still different. That's what I meant by that one. That one is justified. That
Okay.
makes sense though.
Yeah. Okay. I'll probably have to get back to that one. But okay. All right. How do you see like how do you see the this whole rugby and cricket quota systems that we have on race?
Man, there's a lot of racism in both sports. There's a lot of racism in both sports, but at the same time, it helps to a certain point. The quotas help to a certain point, but it's it still fractures it because of the racism. I really don't know how. I'm not too sure. I don't have the answers, man. It's racist. The sports in themselves. You'll find that the captains, when they talk about the Graham Smith, the AB de Villiers, also racist. The rugby thinking about the players segregation with even in the locker rooms and shit like that. And yeah, but then you ask yourselves, how did we get there? Quotas is a big reason. the past is also a big reason. So
Mm-hmm.
both are true at the same time, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I was like, yeah, we have these quotas in place,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to still pick on merit based in a way. When you see it that, you know what, now actually this team, there's talent there, but they're not trying. Like I was saying with Ukolisi,
Mm-hmm.
um, it was good for them to put him in the team finally, because we had been complaining as fans. We'd been seeing him that, no man, this man's a baller. He's
Mm-hmm.
bona fide baller. And you guys are just being blatantly racist, and you're not putting in black people in the places. And then afterwards they put him in. And then I started complaining that, why isn't he getting the respect now? And then I realized, now they felt that it's just a quota thing, that we had to give him a captaincy, and he still doesn't get the respect that it deserves. Because now you feel like, just because he's black, we had to put him in. But
Mm-hmm.
no, at the same time, this person was supposed to be put in on merits. The,
Mm-hmm.
it just gives the other side, the quota gives the other side a thing to talk about, and to give them to feel like they are being oppressed. But
Mm-hmm.
there's genuine reason why on the other side you also. So that's why we were saying yesterday, you need to have these conversations. So as much as I feel like Ukolesi had merits, maybe if you go back and you talk to those people and you ask them, say, what took you guys so long to put him in? If I sit down and give you all these stats, and they sit down, they give you all these stats, they might give you certain reasons of, listen, man, rugby is not a one man has all that much impact on a game and whatnot. So his impact wouldn't have been that much. We have these people that do subsidiary parts. We need a fetcher. He doesn't do that or whatnot. So, if they justify it like that, and you give those things, and we have those actual conversations first,
Mm-hmm.
then we can actually get to understand each other. That's why I said you can have the quota system, but it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be also merit based at the same time. But that we're having that merit based is gonna take longer, because you're gonna need things like that, where you need to talk to the other side and be like, hey man, how? And I don't want to impose this on you, but
Mm-hmm.
please make it make sense. Like when we were saying yesterday with the job thing, when you're saying with the job thing, when you were saying
Yeah,
you need
that.
to first. Sorry, man, I just got a message, so it just threw me
Oh,
off. With the job thing, you need to come back and say, hey, why am I not being paid the same?
mm,
I see black people. They're not enough black. The black people in this office are paid less than whites. Why
mm-hmm.
is that? And you had a contract, and you go back and you sit and you ask. If you
Mm-hmm.
don't ask, you're just going to be better. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I say, you, the quota doesn't need to be really imposed, but people need to understand that, hey man, there is racism in play, and we need to rectify it, and we don't need to go all out and say, just because you are black, you're gonna get in. Nah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
I was
that
having a
that
conversation. Yeah, I was having a conversation, like I said, with my boy about like the cricket, for example, right? And um, having having Pemba as the captain, for example, and you have KG, and you have these other players there, Ungidi, um, and because now you have a quota system that's there, right? You automatically will then assume that, well, these players are there because of their color, right? But not only that, what happens when Temba doesn't perform, for instance? Who are you gonna drop him for? Because then it's like, if you drop Utamba and you have a specific system that's there to always put in someone that's going to be, well, there's you only get, it's always going to be system there that you have to then put someone else in color in his position, even though there's, say, a Chris Morris or a Dwayne Pretorius. I think so, yeah, Dwayne Pretorius or someone like that in the team. It's like, now all of a sudden you have to skip all those white players and put in someone else that's going to be then only black, regardless of the performance. You see, and then what you do then, as soon as you have that, now you have that person targeted, right? Rightfully so, because at the end of the day, it's like, well, now we're not winning, and you're not pulling your weight because you weren't the best person in that position.
Fully.
Yeah. So then, and then you have players like KG, for example, that then you say, well, I don't even know if you're here because of race or because you're performing, because of the system that's underlying that says that you need to be here regardless.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And to go back to your point as well about this whole rugby thing, like, you know, when it was you go and you ask someone, why did you overlook Sia? The first thing that I would tell you if I was a coach is, why didn't you bring me a list of players that I've overlooked instead of bring me one person that you think, no, this person, why did you overlook him? Because they say there's Luke Watson that I overlooked. There's another lock that
no. That one, that chat doesn't hold water. Because he was clearly the best. The people that they had there were not good enough.
No,
they
I'm
were
not
not good enough. But no. But the people that they would put in, because understand that our rugby doesn't have money, so our players leave the country, and once players leave the country, they don't get picked into the team again, right? Mm-hmm. They don't put players back into South Africa. You don't pick them again into the team because now they're playing overseas. You overlook them. We understand those ones, which we find wrong, but they've gone away with that. So at that time, there were no better options. They were putting in white kids that were really weak. Kids that their fathers are part of the shocks. No, I'm telling you the actual situation. Which is why I'm saying that why I didn't bring up the list of people. I can tell you a list of people that were there that just merit based were not good enough. And why I say he was overlooked, because he was clearly better than them. Mm-hmm. You would see it day in, day out throughout the season. Mm-hmm. Now, man of the match awards and everything. Mm-hmm. But then when you come to time for the selection, he might get selected, but they don't play. Mm-hmm. When he does get selected, he doesn't play. Same thing was happening with the Norwich. And then they put him into the Springboks team. He plays for a bit, and then they put him to the side. You know, it's those things. Because they feel like they need to pick him again because of quota. That's why I think the quota thing, you should not impose it, but we need to. It just needs to be a thing of, you need to understand. Except, guys, you're doing too much. We're seeing racism here, and please try justify what you're doing. And that's how I think the quota should be done for representation. That's why I always say go back to the merit based on it.
So the representation is basically what? Inclusivity.
Inclusivity based on merit. I'm not for just include people based on just the color, and because we have good black people that are like this. Are there better white people that we're gonna then say don't put? Because what do we want more? Do we want the win, or do we want just representation? Do we want to be the best, or do we just want to look like a rainbow nation?
So that at least should be clear. Be clear on that point. So that I'm saying at least be clear on that point so that people then don't argue. It's like, no, look, we're not trying to win the World Cup. We're just trying to try to put people there as an image. Then at least people won't argue when you have a shitty player there, because you're not trying to have him there because of whether he's good or not.
Exactly.
Okay, so one question is, do you think that we're very much sensitive to race and gender?
Yes, very. Very.
Nothing else gets brought up. It's like it's almost like a person is just that. Like a person is just his gender or their gender, and it's just their color. Nothing else matters. The height doesn't really matter. Age doesn't really matter. Like I said, the qualifications doesn't really matter. It's like we only see age and we only see sex
Oh,
and,
we are shallow.
mm,
We are shallow. The others matter, and we know they matter.
mm,
And people will be fake deep and or just troll you straight up.
uh-huh.
They'll just troll and make disingenuous arguments, and you be like, how are you making this an argument? Like with certain things, like it's just, and they'll say certain things just to shame you instead of trying to actually have a debate with you and understand where you're both coming from.
Mm, yeah. Because it's a good point, bro. Because imagine you, like, for instance, if you're trying to get into varsity, right? And there is there is a sex, there is a gender and um race quota, right? And then we say that, well, that we're supposed to have a woman in the female quotas, and then we have to have black quotas, and then you actually end up being a black female. It's like, what happens then? Do you get like a double pass? Because if the one
Yes,
doesn't, you can always then say, well, I'm also female.
yes, that's exactly how it works these days.
Mm.
But
And then you
but
can, and
but with them ones, women get their quotas, but like I've said, we are inherently sexist, right?
Mhm,
As people, there are certain things biologically that men are attracted to, women that are attracted to.
mhm,
So we give women certain opportunities, but if you look at science, technology, engineering, maths, there are so many opportunities that women are given over men
mhm,
because men dominate that space.
mhm,
So they're like, we would like more female representation in here because they are capable.
mhm,
Cool. I'm not gonna fight that. But oh, but do the women themselves want those jobs?
mhm,
No, because when you look at universities, most of them go into humanities anyway.
mhm.
So even though there are those quotas, they're struggling to fill up those quotas. That's what
So
you find.
so then the argument there is what? Is that the jobs are actually inherently sexist?
That the world is inherently sexist.
Yeah, because then even if you have a lot of women in medicine, then what are you gonna say? Medicine is inherently sexist against men.
Exactly.
And engineering is inherently sexist towards females. Even when you're trying to put females there because of gender, you still can't fill up the positions. And what happens then? Who do you then blame?
No, no, no. You're a victim. You're gonna carry on being a victim. You're gonna say that we're not being allowed. You're gonna go in on a different angle, and you're gonna say men in this space are being paid more. So why would women want to go in there? You're gonna
Mm,
shift the goalposts,
mm.
and that's what's been happening.
And what do you think this idea of white privilege?
I get it,
Mm-hmm,
but there are many different types of privilege. White privilege is, well, when you say white privilege, you're saying it's basically like saying I'm previously disadvantaged. That's all I get from it. But okay, cool. You're previously disadvantaged. These white privilege, they had an unfair advantage. That's all I understand from that. They had an unfair advantage, but that is like what we were saying with Johan Rupert yesterday. Hey
mm-hmm,
man, like it's the price to pay. It's the price that we had to pay,
mm-hmm,
not to have civil unrest.
mm-hmm. Why
White
isn't
privilege is dead. Mhm.
why isn't there a term then deemed black privilege? Like
The
for instance,
term.
it's like if you're a comedian or if you're a person, right, like a black person, and you're a comedian and you then make a racist joke against white people, right? Right? And that
Mhm.
joke that joke then say is you're not deemed as racist because it's like, well, yeah, you're black, so therefore you then have
No,
a
no,
privilege.
no. you see, you are right. You're completely on the money with that one because now we're trying to justify being bigots and
Mm-hmm.
being prejudiced.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to justify it on the past, but those
Mm-hmm.
things don't make sense. You
Yeah.
saw it was wrong in the past. What makes it right for you now?
To do the opposite.
Like, yes,
Yeah.
those ones don't make sense to me. But like
Mm.
the privilege, with the white privilege thing again, it's just that your privilege is that you have a head start.
Mm-hmm.
But my now what is happening? I have opportunities. Now
Mm-hmm.
I have I my well now we're trying to balance the scales
Mm-hmm.
from that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not for me. It's not a matter of it's privilege more than it's that the privilege is like I said. It's a head start now. The black privilege we call it BEE. We
Yeah.
call it rectifying things and whatnot. That's that,
Affirmative
but it's
action.
not a privilege because we're trying to balance the scales.
But how, yeah, but so this is the thing. How is it not a privilege? Because regardless of what you're
Because
trying to do about balancing any scales or not, you still have the privilege of doing it now. So
because 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 white men have their unfair advantage because they unlawfully and unjustifiably oppressed black people and had their privilege.
okay. So then by you doing exactly the same thing, how is that not black privilege?
No, it's not. It's not unjustified this time. It's not unjustified. Our privilege is not unjustified. What's unjustified is the prejudice, the bigotry. That's the unjustified ones. But the actual system that we've put in place, that's not a privilege. We're trying to balance it out. We're trying to balance out the scales. It's a redistribution.
Okay, so let me put it like this then. So if you're say a white guy and you're like say 15 years old, right? And there's a black guy that's 15 years old, right? And as a black kid that you're 15 years old, you can make a white joke and it's fine. And then this white guy is supposed to then take it.
The white joke things, that's for nobody. That's for nobody. Like
So
you know
so
what with the jokes thing, I think everyone should let jokes fly. This era is just too PC, man. Just
mhm,
let that shit fly, bro. Stop being in
mhm.
your feel so damn much.
Yeah, no, what I'm trying to get at is again, it's like it's like a group thing again, where it's like
No,
because
no,
now
no, 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 no. Like I was saying, the prejudice, the bigotry, those ones are complete no-no. But what I say is okay is the systems that we've put in place because as much as you're a 15-year-old from from a white family and I'm a 15-year-old from a black family, how we grow up is different. You
yeah,
you you
as would
you're
anyone
so,
grow up differently.
no, but our socioeconomic status is probably is gonna be the thing about is gonna be based on our mostly on our race. In majority of the cases, yes,
Yeah,
it's
no, but
based on your race because you were previously disadvantaged. That's why so many black people are poor now.
no, okay, no,
Black
look,
people are
so
poor now because of white people. Yes, no,
that's a strong
yes or
case to
no,
make. Some,
yes or no.
some,
Some, not majority.
I wouldn't say so.
Then we won't agree
No, I'm not trying to.
because
I'm trying to understand the viewpoint.
no, if you can't understand that black people are poor now based on apartheid system, and thinking about we have a high crime rate because of those things. Our economy is low because of that in the beginning. But the problem with me saying all that is how long can we keep on saying that without blaming our own government for the corruption as well? without, or
I just think it's just very.
does that
It's
make sense?
Yeah, I can hear where you're coming from for sure. Yeah, what I'm saying is the reason why I'm saying it's such a strong statement is that it's just very much unfair to put someone that has not had nothing to do with a system like that as saying that now because they're white they should take that group guilt.
Um, I
Just wait.
better
Sorry, just
group.
wait. I'll be back. Sorry, bro.
No worries.
So yeah.
Better, it is unfair that black people wake up a Kailija when I know my parents lived in Wynberg growing up.
Okay.
That is unfair.
Okay.
Why did I dikhululeka ukuskoda abazali bami bona bakhululeka Wynberg?
Okay.
Because it was unfair. We as black people were unfairly put in positions and we were put in locations when we were Group Areas Act. That those things were unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's going to be unfair to a white person now that has nothing to do with it. But the fact that a black boy now wakes up thinking about Ekasi, you're going to wake up in a suburb, is unfair. You took up the home for the Group Areas Act.
Mm-hmm.
That is unfair.
Mm-hmm. And then it's
So
gonna be
somehow we need to find a way to justify that. We need to balance that out. And life will never be fair.
So then
We need to be fine with that. We need to work for the majority, not the minority. We need to work for the majority, not the minority.
okay. Yeah, yeah. I see where you're coming from, but like I say again, I just think it's very much. I'm not saying it's not fair on the one side. I agree with you, it's unfair, right? But I'm also saying in the same breath that it's unfair for someone to rock up into a place where they had nothing to do with anything and then
Yes, but
and have group guilt based on that because you had group guilt based on that. It's like it's the same thing that's happening. Then that's what I mean. That's
but
exactly.
I'm still as a black person, I'm still living through the group guilt that was done. I'm still in that position. Somehow we need to be able to find a middle ground so that the majority can push up and that the economy can boom.
And then that majority, I think, okay.
It is.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, go.
No, go for it.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Oh. So yeah, I think like I said, man, it's because then that's a fundamentally racist idea as well. But then again, you can go.
Yes,
Yeah, you
yes,
can go.
but it's a fundamentally racist, but I think it's justified.
Okay, but then the gender one's not justified. Because then why can't the female say, well, look, I feel as though that as a female we
Because
weren't
it's
ready.
inherently sexist and it will always be inherently sexist. It's two different things, apples and pears.
So we won't be inherently racist.
It's apples and pears. How it's different. Like the one is it's based on two different things. We've gone over this. We've gone over this in this chat a couple of times.
Yeah, I'm just trying to.
It's not the same thing. The oppression, one was legal systems, the other oppression was based on physiological. Is based on you. You are limited. Women are limited. Their bodies are there. They are. I don't want to say what I'm gonna say.
It's an open platform, bro. Don't think about it too much. Maybe we should get a girl on here as well to see what what she feels.
You see, if we had a girl on, then what I'm about to say is just gonna be wow. Women
Yeah,
were
but that,
basically incubators, whilst men actually had to run the world because they could not help us running the world. They had to they had to find we had to give them a role to play in society, and they were needed. They were very much needed to continue the race more than in sustaining the race into living.
wouldn't
If
that be the same
today,
thing?
in today's world still, eh?
Wouldn't that be the same thing? Because I mean, if they're gonna continue the race, that's sustaining, isn't it?
No, they here to procreate, is what I'm saying. Procreation, procreation, and we are here, well, in the beginning, because now technology at this point has made us able to live longer, um, be able to hold off giving having children and all those things, and you're able to have a career now and all those things. So so
So what then? I
women.
mean, because now I'm thinking now,
Mhm.
even with saying that, right? I can understand where you're coming from, and I'm still trying to understand, or I'm still trying to formulate it because it also, I mean,
Okay, wait.
it's like,
Before you say this, let me try make what I was saying come more clear.
okay,
In today's society, right? As I'm saying that it's still inherently sexist, as great as it is today, and we able to give women opportunities, but they not taking those opportunities because they don't really want to. As much as they fought for freedom and all those certain jobs they don't want to take, and that's okay, man. You fought for choice. You didn't fight for the fact that you need to do it. But if let's say Thanos
what is
had to snap his fingers
the
today,
same the other
let's
way
say if
around? There's certain jobs that guys don't want to take.
but they would okay, wait, you'll get it. Let's say today Thanos snaps his finger, right?
Who's
Power
Thanos?
grid goes off. Thanos, Marvel.
I don't watch stuff like that, but okay. A god.
Let's say men disappear off the face of the earth,
Okay.
right? Men
Yeah.
disappear off the face of the earth, and and the infrastructure is down, the power is down. There
Okay.
is it, and now you need to survive,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
How women would not be able to live out the rest of their lives. They would not be able to live because the infrastructure in
Mm-hmm.
today's society, they would not be able to put back the power back up because they're not enough women in those positions. They're not enough. They're not in the STEM and science, technology, engineering, maths fields. They're not in the 80% of those are run by men in today's society still,
So,
right?
oh, so you're
So
saying now, if it happened now.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
Yeah.
in today's even still.
Okay.
So they not in the critical places that need the world that makes the world run. They not in those they not in that STEM. The 80% of that is male dominated. Even though the opportunities are there, they're not taking it.
They're
So
in medicine.
if the power if the power and the infrastructure were to go down and there are no men around, they would die. They would die. But if you say it the other way around, there are
So I
no
agree with
women.
that part.
There are
I
no
agree.
women. Wait. There are no women. There are no women. Men would be able to live out the rest of their lives and die, and then the world would cease to exist. Do you
How
agree with
so?
that? Because
No.
men would be able to put back the power back up
Yeah, but then
and run the country.
how would they be able to be born?
I wasn't talking about procreating. I was saying live the rest of their lives out and
Okay.
die. At the end, I said, and then die. And then society would die.
Okay.
Women would not make it till the end of their life if men were gone from this
So
society. That's
what
why
would
I'm
they
saying
do?
it's apples and pears. And
So what would they
when you're
do?
saying when you're comparing the race, when you're
Mm-hmm.
comparing the race
Mm-hmm.
and gender, that's where you can't compare the two for me. In that situation, it's apples and pears. It's really apples and pears. The what the not even capabilities, but inherently
To just go back,
what we do. Eh?
no, I was just saying, just to go back to the whole. I'm just still trying to understand it. That so if there was no men, women would die,
Yeah, they
right?
wouldn't be able to live out the rest of their lives. They
Which
wouldn't
means
be
they
able
would
to
die
live out there till till old age. But men would be able to live their lives till old age
based on.
without women.
Oh man,
And eh?
no, sorry, my battery. Yeah.
Based on the scenario that I just gave you,
Okay, so even okay, so
it doesn't
even
make
though they,
sense.
yeah, I'm trying to make sense of it because I'm thinking now. Even though, for instance, I'm not gonna looking at say for like females would are dominating in medicine, for example, right? So if you're
But
men, you're
most
sick.
wait. How are they dominating in medicine? Ask
They
yourself how. Most of them are nurses. Doctors are mostly men.
regardless. But I mean, they
So
still dominate in medicine.
we'd still, listen, we
Hmm.
still have enough men in those fields. We still have enough men in those fields to be able to carry us through, that would be able to teach other men to help them out. Whereas with women, they don't have enough people in the science, technology, engineering, maths field to be able to help out each other and tell them. Men have built the society from the ground up because they were able to. Women couldn't because they are more weaker body wise. We had to protect them. They role, which is why I said what I was gonna say is mad because I'm basically saying what their role was is an
Mad.
incubator. In this
But
society,
I
it's
mean,
gonna sound mad, but it's the truth.
yeah,
That's why I
okay,
say it sounds mad because
yeah,
basically they were an incubator and someone to look after the home, take care of certain things because
mm,
that's the part that they could play and they are even even their nurturing is better than men, which is why they go into nursing and all those fields. You understand?
yeah. I'll have to think about that because yeah, just trying to still swallow it because I think also I mean it's you, to pick a specific time period in life and say that if if this time
I'm
period now if
I'm
women
saying
would.
now, saying right
Yeah,
now.
that's what I'm saying.
There
I
doesn't
mean,
have to be
it
another
could be
time.
true. So I'm saying if you could say now, it could be true. Whereas then, for instance, a woman will say, well, then how about the beginning? Like, how are you going to get a womb? How are you going to get someone that's going to procreate? Then it's like, that's exactly how we're going to need each other.
You see, I'm not saying they're not needed. I never said that they're not needed. I said
Okay.
our roles are different in the society. I didn't say they're not needed. They
We should have
definitely needed. That's why we would die out at the end. We
yeah.
need women to
Okay.
continue our race. To survive, not so much. To continue the race, yeah. To survive, not so much.
Okay. Yeah, I
Women
think.
also understand that women are 80% of the consumer base.
Hmm.
Actually, what I'm about to say doesn't matter. We just
No.
in society we are different. We are literally opposites of one another.
Hmm.
So that's why I say when you take race and then you want to say with the gender it's the same, it's incomparable. That's the point that I'm trying to get to you. When you say black people and white people, you can't put that same, you can't use that same type of scenario. What type of scenario would you use to say a certain race um, is you could would be there's no difference within races other than color. There's no other real difference. What other real differences could you say there are?
Okay, wait,
Other than the skin tone and melanin and sun and all those things. What are differences that we have with a race that you can say?
Well, I mean,
That's why I say apples and pears. Men and women completely different. We similar, very, but the difference. Well, we are very alike, but our differences just make us.
Our battery's gonna die.
Yeah,
so.
I know. I'm contradicting myself, but where we are different is very extreme. Is what I'm trying to say. Where we're similar, but where we are different is very extreme. And where we are different is very extreme. And that plays a big role.
Okay, we'll have another chat now. I need to charge my phone. Don't want to lose this. Alright, boy.
Okay. Let's do it tomorrow rather, because now I just wanna
No stress.
I just wanna chill, man, for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
You know, before Teta no mind?
No, not yet.
I'll talk to you offline about it.
Cool. Cheers, boy.
Sure,